Well, good afternoon, West Ham fans. It's Monday at 6 p.m, so you know what time it is. It's time for the Bloody Academy show. Yes, everybody, Russ, the West Ham Network. Hope you are all safe and well. Busy day as always on the West Ham Network. Spoke about Jermaine Defoe coming back, really. Go back and check that out. In the Hammers headlines, we spoke about lots of bits and bobs, lots of players coming or being linked. As I said, I've already filled up a page on my list. We haven't even opened the transfer window for another 3 weeks. For anyone new to the channel, what we try and do is every Monday is during the season. Then we'll probably do it sporadically as stuff happens during sort of the off season. Then back again in August is do a show just dedicated to the academy, talking about any games that have been played during the last week or so, any contract news, and a bit of a loan report really in terms of players who are currently out on loan. There are still a couple of players currently. Well, technically, everyone is still out on loan, and I actually asked Kenny Brown this exact questions on Friday. So people like Freddie Potts and stuff can't play for West Ham until the end of their loan spell, unless it was mutually agreed, so to speak. So someone like Freddie, he's contracted until the end of May. Despite the fact Pompey haven't got any games, they're contracted to the end of May, and various others. For example, someone like George is still very much in the playoffs, and we'll talk about them in a minute. So we're going to talk about all the players who are currently still out on loan, particularly some of the guys like in the Polish league and Ligue 2, and talk about sort of what's happening over the summer for some of our players, because I think there's for two, they could have a busy summer. We'll just say that. Let's start with the players currently out on loan. So George, he will hopefully get some more minutes today, or tonight rather, as there's the second leg of their Championship semi-final playoff against Sheffield United tonight at Bramwell Lane. They go into it with Bristol losing the first leg 3-0. So highly unlikely they're going to be making the playoff final. But you never know. Strange things have happened at sea. But George will be playing, I'd imagine, some part again in that game tonight. So I imagine it's on Sky probably. Elsewhere, Gideon Kado is still very much in action, so to speak, with Wycombe Wanderers, although he was an unused substitute, as they held Charlton to a goalless draw in the first leg. He'll be hoping to make some sort of impact in the second leg, which is at the Valley on Thursday. So good luck to Gideon there. Elsewhere, the lesser-spotted Luis Al finally makes his league debut in the Polish league. He's had a couple of appearances in the sort of their sort of reserve squad, so to speak. But he made his appearance, started and played the full 90 for Pogoń Spencer, as they lost 2-0 away to Radomiak. He played for the full 90 minutes in front of a crowd of around 8,000 people. 8,000 people. Elsewhere, no minutes for Mamadou Kante for Paris FC, as they won 2-0 at home to Ajaccio. But obviously, Paris FC will be promoted. They are promoted into the league next season. So it's been interesting to see what's going to happen with Mamadou, and whether, he'll come back for pre-season, but whether he goes back out on loan, maybe, I don't know. Elsewhere, no match involvement. It wasn't involved in the matchday squad for Aldershot in terms of Brad Dolligan, as the Shots won 3-0 over Spennymoor Town in their first ever Wembley appearance ever for the Shots, as they won the FA Youth Trophy. So congratulations to them. I'm sure they're watching. As I said, after this week, pretty much that's everyone done. I don't think Bristol City are going to get through. I don't think Wycombe might get through. It's all in the balance for them. But in essence, we're almost all done, really. And so we turn to the summer. And we have 2 tournaments in for our academy players, which one could directly affect, I think, potentially what happens next season with one of our star players in the academy. We'll come to that in a minute. Lorne Owusu, he's been called up for the England under 17 squad for the upcoming 2025 UEFA Championship, under 17s Championship in Albania. He's had a great year this year. He's only 17. He's the starting goalkeeper for the under 18s during the Premier League Cup winning campaign. He signed his first pro deal in April and has been training with the first team squad. He's a big lad for 17. He's a big boy. And so he's one of 20 players selected for the tournament. Champions in 2010 and 2014, the Young Lions are making their record 17th appearance in the under 17s tournament, more than any other nation in the tournament. So absolutely phenomenal. We are also waiting on the UEFA squads to be announced for the under 19s European tournament, which is taking place in Romania, I believe. And we're hopeful that Lewis Orford and Finn Herrick will both be included in those championship squads. The only fly in the ointment, as what I was sort of saying in terms of maybe the trajectory of Lewis's, particularly Lewis, in terms of what's going to happen next year, is the tournament runs until the 20th. If England gets through to the final, that's the 26th of June is the final. And I believe pre-season starts 1st of July, the first week in July. So there'll be no rest for Lewis and Finn. Obviously, as they look to impress Graham Potter in pre-season, obviously a crucial pre-season, particularly someone like Lewis in terms of his development, where he's going to go. And but he will be firing on all cylinders, hopefully, because he'll be playing competitive football right up until probably a week before they start pre-season. So he's young enough anyway. Fuck it, innit? They're young enough. And obviously with Finn, you've got to look with particularly Fabianski not being offered a new deal. There's a role there for a number 2. If they don't bring in someone, which they may well do, someone like Aaron Ramsdale or something like that, you got to think Wes Foderingham. He's training goalkeeper basically. For that third choice spot, you're thinking Finn. There's Christian Heggie. Lorne's playing, as I said, he's been playing. Obviously, you've got Mason Terry as well. You've got Finley as well in the 18s. So you've got a whole bunch of goalkeepers. But for Lewis, it's a critical. No, I wouldn't say critical, but with that midfield potentially being taken apart, with Guerrero Rodriguez out, with potentially, if a decent deal comes in for Emerson, Edson Alvarez, he'll be gone. Freddie Potts coming back into the side. Question marks over JWP. Potential question marks over Thomas Souček if Everton came in or someone like that with a big bid, or Leeds. Would we accept that potentially? It's a critical time for that midfield. Obviously, we're bringing players in, I would imagine, but someone like Lewis, in terms of his development, maybe I think next year would be a loan would make sense. Probably not to the extent of Freddie. Like going out 2 years, maybe 1 year loan, and then because I think it'd be a West Ham fans' wet dream for a midfield 2 of Freddie Potts and Lewis Orford. But in theory, that could easily happen, and actually they'd very complement each other very well. Freddie being the 6 and Lewis being the 8, but. Anyway, and that's it, my friends. There's your very, very succinct Academy show. Possibly the last one, or the last regular one, maybe, of the season. There's no more under 21s or under 18 games now. Obviously, we out of the playoff, the PL2 playoffs against Man United. But until next time, my friends, take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith, and I'll see you soon. Very, very soon. Much love. Peace out, motherfuckers.